on the road. We are headed to Goodness Me, which is a health food store in Hamilton, Ontario. We love Goodness Me. And this is my cousin Jamie who's driving. And you guys have requested I talk about family. And so we're going to talk a bit about family and diet and how that relates, because Jamie, you were raised in a really healthy household, right? You were raised on healthy foods from early on?
Yeah. Always healthy foods, low sugar, all that kind of stuff.
And did you ever feel the need to rebel against that because you were raised in that way once you became a teenager?
Never. People always said that I would, but I just, in fact, got healthier over time.
Awesome. And you recently actually switched to a vegan diet, right?
I did. Just over a year ago, I went from eating steak and chicken and all that stuff to one day just going fully raw for a month.
Awesome.
And then after that month, I went vegan, and I've been vegan ever since.
That is really neat. I never try to pressure people, because I feel like in a family, if you just try to pressure people, it causes a lot of tension. So did you ever feel that, were you ever weirded out by myself or the way your mom ate my Aunt Lori?
Never.
No?
Never.
Okay.
Growing up with eating healthy, I was always more aware of healthy lifestyles. So it wasn't so odd to me that, you were drinking smoothies or,
doing that kind of thing.
Making salads all the time and using those as meals. That didn't strike me as odd.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. And what inspired you to go vegan? Like, what inspired you? I think it was when I was home at Christmas, right? And we were talking about eating raw, and we were talking about going fully raw.
Yeah. Well, being around you and being around Mom, it was a good influence. It was a positive influence, and I decided that I needed to make a change for the better, like you did for yourself.
Yeah.
And that was the best way for me to do it.
And how do you feel now? It's been a year, right? You said?
It has. I feel great. Better than I ever have. My memory is just way better than it ever was. And
nice.
My reaction time and my energy is higher than it ever was. And it's just been great all around.
Just been better. Okay, that's good to hear. And you guys have met, actually, if I can get around to the back here, you guys have met my Aunt Lori before. And Aunt Lori, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions, because with family, you never encountered having a lot of people who ate the same as you, right? You were kind of not the odd one out, but you just ate different from everyone else. So
I did, because everybody else was eating the pastries, the pies, the cakes, and the cookies, and the white refined flour, refined sugar, and refined everything. So, in all kinds of meat. So, yeah.
And you never wanted to eat that way? You wanted to eat differently, right?
That's right. I did want to eat differently, and I just never had an interest that much in the meat. And the other pastries and things like that, I recognized how I felt after I ate them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good, so I was looking for a better way.
I think that's what a lot of people realize, is that the way they feel after eating certain foods, they just don't feel as well after eating them, so they change their diet. But I find that that's the biggest hurdle, is that with family, and our family in particular, is that a lot of people just don't want to admit how they feel after certain foods. They say, oh, if I eat KFC, or I eat my steak and chicken, and if I die young, I'm gonna die happy, right? Have you heard anyone say that?
Yes, and they're not tuned in. They're not aware of how they're feeling. They're not paying attention, and they're not even associating how they feel with what they ate.
Yeah.
And it's really obvious, but when they're not paying attention to it, they don't make the connection. But very clearly, I remember how it used to make me sleepy, and how it could make me bloated and things like that. But really, a lot of different things, like sometimes even just your skin or your nose might go red a couple hours after a certain kind of meal. Just a lot of things like that people don't pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And did you find, what was it for you? Because I know people are wondering, how do they deal with their own family when they want to change their diet? What should they do? Are there any tips that would help them specifically to not feel so isolated and kind of different from everybody else?
Well, for me, I started to study nutrition so that I could learn. And then the more confident I got, it was easier to make the changes.
Yeah.
So knowledge is power. So just learn something. Learn something new, something positive about where you think you want to go, or what you're curious about when it comes to food, and and then try these foods.
And then you can kind of help to educate others. You can have an educated response.
Yes.
When someone asks you.
Yeah, definitely. So you can learn as you go, and you try some different foods and notice how you feel.
As far as it goes for fitting in or, you know, feeling comfortable when, you know, the rest of your family doesn't eat the way that you do. I think that education is really the most important thing, because if, you know, you decide that you want to follow a different lifestyle than some of the other people in your family, you know, they always want to bombard you with questions.
Yeah.
And they want to make sure that, you know, you really know what you're talking about. And if you do, it makes it a lot easier to tackle those questions because you have an answer, you know, for them. And I think that, you know, knowing more about what you're eating and what you're doing and why you're doing it can really help you feel like you're on the right path when some others might question your decisions.
And I think that it's hard too, because I don't know if you noticed, but I certainly did when I changed my diet. All of a sudden everyone becomes a nutritionist and everyone wants to tell you about why the diet doesn't work or what they think.
And you know, I get the question all the time, you know, where do you get your protein? And it just goes to show that people's you know, knowledge on where protein comes from is really quite limited, because they don't see any other food sources as being a source of protein.
Yeah, they're thinking about the complete protein myth, which is really truly just a myth.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we just arrived at Goodness Me, so we're gonna go in, do some shopping. What are you excited for, Jamie?
Cookies. It's all about those cookies.
It's all about the vegan cookies.
All right,
let's go.